This is the best rumor slash leak for the plot of Avengers Doomsday that I have heard yet. Personally, out of everything we've heard, I would prefer for this to happen over everything else we've heard. This makes a lot of sense. It combines stories from the past in the MCU with stories from the comics and a lot of elements from the comics, and it puts it together in a really great way that I actually hope Avengers Doomsday plays out this way now. A few of you DM'd me this morning. Thank you for that, because it was so interesting to you. I could not trace the original source, so we are going to treat this as a rumor, in no way confirmed. But after you listen to what this supposed plot leak entails, I would love to know your thoughts about this, because I do truly think this is how it could go down in Avengers Doomsday. In fact, I hope it's how it goes down in Avengers Doomsday. So let's get into this. So there are 5 parts to this, broken off into different parts, and I really like it. Let's start with the first, of course, the War for New York. In Avengers Doomsday, 2 final battles unfold. The first takes place in New York City, where all the heroes of Earth 616 face off against those of Earth 838. For those who don't know, Earth 838 is a universe from Multiverse of Madness that had the Illuminati. And there was that one chair left that we don't know who it belongs to. But we've always speculated, and even some insiders started to talk about how that one person is going to be pretty pissed off that the Illuminati were killed. We assume, since we had Ultron bots, it's a Tony Stark, perhaps. So maybe this is all starting to link together already, that universe coming after our Earth, 616, and it also could involve an incursion between the two of them as well, which makes sense considering the damage that Doctor Strange and Wanda did in that universe. But it continues, among the heroes of Earth 616 are all the Avengers, Spider-Man, the Young Avengers, the Wakandans, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the mutants, which is interesting because I think they're referring to the mutants of the X-Men universe, not mutants from our universe. It is a full-scale endgame level fight with all the teams reuniting for the final time. On the enemy side are the heroes and villains of Earth 838, led by Doctor Doom's team, known as the Cabal, commanded by King Thanos, the Maestro, and other powerful members. We have actually heard that King Thanos could possibly return in Avengers Doomsday, so again, this lines up with that, and we knew that Doom was going to have a team. I've actually theorized for a while that Doom could have been that empty chair, and he could have created those Ultron bots, which could actually be Doom bots, because only in the subtitles for the movie of Multiverse of Madness did they actually say Ultron bots. They never actually named them, called them by name in the movie. So I think that could possibly be retconned to be Doom bots. But moving on, part 2, Sentry's madness and Charles Xavier's sacrifice. Every time this dude is on screen lately, we're watching him die. But during the battle, several high-profile deaths occur. Jean Grey faces off against Wanda Maximoff, who is being manipulated by Doctor Doom, just like the Sentry. In an intense sequence, the Sentry goes berserk and begins killing people on Earth 838, unleashing chaos. Charles Xavier decides to sacrifice himself and manages to save Bob from the Void, freeing him from Doom's control. Meanwhile, Wanda, still under Doom's manipulation, kills Jean Grey. Before dying, Jean, with her last breath, transfers the Phoenix Force to Cyclops. Now, I would just absolutely love for Cyclops to get the Phoenix Force, and that is kind of something that happens in Secret Wars, and Cyclops goes up against Doom and dies. But still, it's really cool to see. I would love for this to happen. We have heard before that Wanda is going to be on Doom's side, and it makes sense that Doom would be manipulating her. And then to have her go up against Jean Grey, that is basically something people have wanted to see forever. Wanda versus Jean Grey with the Phoenix Force. Who would win? That's a big question that has been posed in the community for a super, super long time. And the Russo brothers might realize that and say, hey, let's give them a scene. Let's show them who would win. And I think the obvious answer in this case that we're reading is Wanda. She wins because Jean, with her last breath, transfers the Phoenix Force to Cyclops, which leads us to part 3, the retreat and the survivor's bag. Doctor Strange and Clea manage to save Wanda, and together they magically take the Sentry to Doctor Doom. The collision of universes is imminent. Their surviving heroes travel by ships to the Raft, a structure built with a combined technology of Reed Richards and Henry Pym. Among the survivors are Reed Richards, Shuri, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, Vision, Wong, Droop, the Avengers, Cyclops, Storm, Iceman, Sam Wilson, Beast, Spider-Man, Yelena, Bucky, Ghost, and US Agent. There are also other individuals inside the raft, including main villains who managed to infiltrate thanks to Namor, the Cabal formed by King Thanos, the Maestro, the Maker, Black Swan, Namor, Corvus Glaive, and Proxima Midnight take refuge there. The collision is imminent. The remaining heroes and villains, badly injured, do not survive the impact. The worlds collide violently. The raft sinks into the depths of the ocean and eventually enters the quantum realm. Inside, everyone faints in the darkness. So basically what this is saying is that we are going to have a life raft, which is what some insiders have already reported. Everybody else that's not in the life raft is going to die when the multiverse collapses. Basically all the worlds collide into each other and the multiverse is therefore gone, especially our Earth and the 838 Earth and any other Earth that are colliding with each other. Some of the villains sneak onto the raft, which in the comics there's just two different rafts. One raft has the heroes, one raft has villains. Namor is involved with the Cabal and the villains in the Secret Wars comic story, so they're kind of keeping true to that, plus with the life rafts obviously. And in the comics the life rafts do kind of get sunken into Battleworld and they don't pop up for like years later after Battleworld has already been discovered. And as you're about to hear as we go into this more, that kind of happens here. But we then get to part 4, Battle of the Void / the TVA. It states, meanwhile, at another point in time and space, another fight erupts at the TVA. Here, Doctor Doom faces the multiversal Avengers assembled by Loki. The team includes Captain America, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, which is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Blade, Elektra, Gambit, Wolverine, Deadpool, X-23, Captain Carter, Thor, as well as variants of Captain America and Thor, and the superior Iron Man with the Infinity Stones, which seems a little redundant because I think the Infinity Stones don't really work in the TVA. They've established that. Maybe in the Void, who knows? It continues, the battle takes place in the Void against, oh, okay, well there you go. In the Void, the Infinity Stones might work. The battle takes place in the Void against an army of Doombots and Doctor Doom himself. It's an epic, devastating fight. Doom defeats all the multiversal heroes. Only Thor, Loki, and Captain America, which is Steve Rogers' Captain America, remain standing. The three fight with all their might to protect Loki, but are ultimately defeated. Doom manages to seize Loki's powers as well as those of Wanda and the Sentry. Gotta say right here, love this. I love the idea of Thor standing with Loki and Captain America Steve Rogers, because it's basically like Endgame, but instead of having Tony Stark there because he's now dead and kind of also, Doom now, you have Loki take a spot right there next to his brother, which I think is, to see Thor and Loki fighting together is just going to be so freaking cool. That's going to happen regardless if this is true or not, but I love how this is sounding. And then on top of that, Doom managing to get Loki's powers, Wanda's powers, and the Sentry's powers. That's how he becomes God Emperor Doom. We have been wondering, well, how is he going to get the powers of the Beyonders if they're not there? How does he get godlike powers? Wanda's powers, Loki's powers, and the Sentry's powers. That's God Emperor Doom right there. I love that. That would make total sense. Now for the ending, part 5. The new god. After absorbing the powers, Doctor Doom sits on a throne. Besides him is Doctor Strange, who has become his right-hand man, or sheriff, much like in the comics. To his left, Sentry. To his right, the Scarlet Witch. The worlds finally collide. The universes are destroyed. Nothing remains. Only Doom. But they do list 2 post-credit scenes. First post-credit scene. A new world is shown, set in the year 1600. People and children walk and talk in a peaceful environment. In the background, a green-cloaked figure stands out against the horizon. Dr. Doom. The shot suggests he has recreated a new world, and also featured a Franklin Richards, Sue Storm, and a small blonde girl, which I assume would be Valeria Richards, Sue and Reed's daughter, or if we go by what it's saying here and what happens in Secret Wars in the comics, is actually Sue and Doom's daughter, which is going to be crazy to see. Now this actually doesn't come from, but it follows up with the leaked concept art that we've seen for Avengers Secret Wars or Avengers Doomsday, where Doom is on his throne, Doctor Strange is by his side, and Sue Storm and Franklin are by his side as well. This is where the second post-credit scene comes in, though, talking about other characters. 8 years after the events of Avengers Doomsday, A group of explorers finds the raft lost in the depths of the ocean. It is intact, covered by the passage of time, and its systems slowly begin to reactivate, suggesting that the survivors are still inside. I gotta say, as far as the story is concerned, I absolutely love this. As far as the post-credit scenes are concerned, I love them both. I think they would just give us just enough information to know what's going on and tease Avengers Secret Wars. I want this to happen. I think this really is the best of what we've heard so far. It does line up with a lot of things that we've heard, and it does make sense, I think, is the biggest thing here. Again, take it with a grain of salt. We don't know if this is accurate or not. It could be posted anonymously from somebody who's been on the set and knows the script. It could be somebody just making some stuff up. But either way, it's really fun to go over these things, and I really want this to happen now. But go ahead, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things with Marvel. Also, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.